Greetings, all you Lee Gates out there. Welcome to Undeclared Bajor, a Star Trek Deep Space Nine rewatch Season 2. My name is Fletcher, and about to say hello is Data.
Gazizza. That's a news radio reference.
I guess. Man, what a great show. Maybe worth a revisit. Or something. Today we're going to recap, discuss, and rate Season 2, Episode 21, The Maquis Part 2. Alternate title, Rise of Whiny Baby Faction.
Okay.
A quick note on spoilers in case our rewatch is your first watch. Expect full spoilers through this episode, an appropriate minimum of minor spoilers for later in the series, but nothing like, I don't know, when Dax... I already said Dax plays the sax.
Jake joins the Maquis.
Oh my goodness. And then he doesn't get back into the Federation.
No. Yeah, exactly. They won't let him back in.
Reference to something we talked about just before recording, so
Yep.
The listeners will be totally clueless. And I'm not editing that out. This episode originally aired May 1st, 1994. It was written by Ira Stephen Bear. Story by Rick Berman, Michael Piller, Jerry Taylor, and Ira Stephen Bear.
Yeah, I mean, we knew last time that there was a long line of people.
Right. So I guess they swapped out What's-His-Face for Ira Stephen Bear, basically.
Yeah, he didn't even... James Crocker.
Yeah, James
Crocker. He didn't get teleplay. He didn't get any of that stuff on this one.
So I guess like when it came to time for part 2, James Crocker was like, okay, I'm going to go write this up. Ira Stephen Bear, you come like fill my seat for the second half. It was directed by Corey Allen. It's Corey Hart who wears his sunglasses at night.
If you say so.
Okay, anyway. Yeah, so let's just dive right into it, I guess.
All right.
That's right. I am the leader of the Maquis. Bwah ha 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 ha, says Cal
It's such
Hudson.
a ridiculous opening. Because he's just like, man, you should have seen your face when that thing that happened just a minute ago happened. Yep. Because, like, in universe, there hasn't been much time.
Right, so. It's been, like, exactly 1 second. Then he says, the Federation turned their backs on these good colonists, so I'm taking up the fight. Which is definitely not what happened. But, whatever. Where's your uniform, says Sisko. Because he's not wearing a uniform.
Right.
But he is wearing clothes, just not a uniform.
Correct.
Here, take it if you like uniforms so much, says Cal, and throws his uniform at Sisko. And then he says, they have a conversation where he says, one of the most ridiculous lines I've ever heard. Nobody wants peace more than the Maquis. By the way, can we use Deep Space Nine as a maintenance facility for our ships? Are you fucking high? No, says Sisko. Also, where's Ducat?
Yeah, that was a really random... It's like, hey, you can help us out by maintaining our ships.
I mean, I guess
2 ships.
I mean, the worst that can happen is he says no, right? Might as well ask.
Yeah, well, fair point.
But yeah, so Sisko's like, "Where's Ducat?" And he's like, "Oh, he's not here. Now prepare to get phasered." And then they shoot all the guys with phasers and knock them out. And then he says another funny line, which is like, "If I know Ben's temper, he won't like having been shot when he wakes up." So we better leave.
It's supposed to all the people who love being shot.
Yes, like most people would be okay with that, but Ben, that would make angry. And you wouldn't like him when he's angry.
So it makes me think of the pirate captain from Venture Brothers. He's just like, give me some more of that sweet dart.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm right here. Dart me. Sisko returns to Deep Space Nine and tasks O'Brien with finding out what happened to Ducat. He finds Admiral Nechayev in his office. After randomly and unnecessarily questioning Odo's competence, she asks Sisko if he thinks Cal Hudson can help with the Maquis situation.
Well, I mean, Ducat did get kidnapped off of the station.
There
was mention last episode about, like, you need to... Like, he yelled at Odo that he needs to check all his security arrangements or whatever.
But that was the Starfleet security guy who made that blunder. Do those guys work for Odo? I guess they do.
Hard to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they'd kind of have to.
But yeah, Nechayev is like, can you think Cal Hudson can help us out with these Maquis? And Sisko's like, oh, sure, maybe.
Well, she's like, what does he think? And Cisco's like, I'll have to ask him.
Yeah. Then she tells Cisco to do basically the exact thing he just did in the previous scene, and then she leaves.
Yeah, it's like, go talk to these guys and convince them. And he's like, yeah, I totally have not tried that yet.
Yeah.
I will do that thing that you said.
I'm sure the Maquis will listen to reason, she says, causing me to suspect that there's some kind of carbon monoxide leak in the whole Federation. Kira comes in at that moment, and Cisco angrily railroads her with what I shall call the "it's easy to be a saint in paradise" speech.
Yeah, apparently that concept was very central to Ira Steven Bear's like picture for not only this episode, but he says that like that was like the core of what they wanted to do with Deep Space Nine.
Sure.
And it's like, what does he say? It's like, is this paradise, or are there, as Harold Pinter said, weasels under the coffee table? And then, so he says this episode finally gave him the chance to like give this speech, where it's like,
so he got to self-insert and make his declaration.
Yep. And then someone else comments, it's like, it's easy to be a saint in paradise. It's easy to be a saint on the Enterprise, but it's a little bit harder to be a saint on Deep Space Nine.
True.
Cisco is still kind of a saint, but he's a saint that just has to work a lot harder.
I mean, that is kind of like the overall theme of the show, so...
Yeah, we talked about that a lot, like towards the beginning, I think.
I think we will talk about it a lot more. Yeah, so he's like, these people don't live in paradise. I mean, we gave them every opportunity to, and they stubbornly refused. But now they don't live in paradise, and they're angry and scared and stuff, because exactly what they were told would happen happened.
Yeah. Once again, it's like, well, if like the colony was paradise before this, then they were given the opportunity to move to New Paradise City.
Right.
And they're like, no, screw you. We don't want paradise. And they're like, wow, we miss paradise.
What? I mean, at least the Skria... I mean, apparently there's just, like, planets all over the place to go live on. Like, just pick one. Oh, well. So, Kira's a little shocked, but she's like, yeah, I mean, totally, great. Anyway, a guy from the Cardassian Central Command is here to talk to you. But before we get to that, Odo calls Cisco to the jail to see Quark, who has been arrested as Vulcan Lady's accomplice.
Yeah, I guess, like, Odo started asking around about Vulcan Lady, and someone's like,
yeah,
oh yeah, I saw her and Quark, like, having dinner and stuff.
Yeah. I saw, like, Quark, like, trying insanely hard to get into that lady's pants.
Yep.
So, yeah, Quark's like, yeah, I brokered a massive weapons deal for her, so what, is that a crime? I thought those weapons were going to be used to kill people far away that I don't know. Oh, and by the way, she seemed to be in a hurry, so probably something violent is going to happen soon.
Yep.
So then Legate Parm...
It's Legate. Did they say Legate at some point?
I swear Cisco says Legate several times, but...
Okay. I must have missed that.
I'd have to... Maybe just I imagined that. Parm or Parn... So, it sounded different to my ears.
It is... I was actually just looking at his article. 1 second. His name is Parn with an N.
Okay, so not Parmesan cheese.
No.
Okay. So Legate Parn of the Cardassian Central Command shows up, and he's like, you know what? We decided to just let the Maquis keep Dukat. We found out he was smuggling weapons to the Cardassian colonists. It totally wasn't us, the Central Command, that's for sure. Anyway, bye. Then he leaves after spending roughly 2 minutes on the station.
Well, yeah, because he's like, this station's lost its charm since the last time I was here.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here any longer than I need to.
It was so charming back when it was like all smoky and there were gates everywhere and everybody was like in chains trudging along all sad. Those were the good days.
But I do like his thing where Cisco's like, what, you don't want Dukat? And he's like, well, I assume that the Maquis are going to execute him. And Cisco's like, yeah, I mean, probably. And Barnes says, well, then I don't really see what difference it makes whether they do it or we do it. So, which isn't really, that doesn't seem that Cardassian to me, given that what we see happen shortly where they're trying to interrogate him for information is exactly what a Cardassian would expect them to do. And presumably Dukat has lots of information that would be useful.
Maybe. It seems like Dukat might have been out of the loop for a while, but...
Well, out of the loop on certain things, but like, he still knows like stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting the impression that after the whole leave, that he's kind of been the scapegoat for the withdrawal from Bajor. So maybe they're kind of like slowly nudging him out of the inner circles.
I do have to say though that this the actor who plays Leggett Parn had a recurring role on Babylon 5, which there's a lot of, since these two shows were made around the same time, there's a lot of crossover actors, but this guy on Babylon 5, like his voice, he had his voice featured heavily, and it was like very distinctive. So every time I hear him here, I'm just like, oh, it like takes me to a whole different place.
Nice. So Cisco's like, well, I think we can assume that guy's totally lying. Then O'Brien reports that the ship that was carrying Dukat passed by 5 planets, so maybe he's on one of those. Cisco grabs Dr. Bashir in a runabout and Odo, and they go looking.
Because Odo specifically requested to be brought along for reasons.
Right, so he can play his goo tentacle attack.
Yeah, it's actually funny. There's a note in here that the visual effects team was asked to like do that thing where he turns his arm into a thing and stretches it and pulls a guy off the ladder. And they're like, okay, we've never done anything like that. So they had to write special software to get that done. Huh.
Nice. I mean, the good thing is once you have it, so.
Yep. He could be gooing people off ladders all the time now.
It's like gootentacle.exe. Bring it up. Kira tells Cisco they should just let the Maquis kill Dukat because he's so evil, and the Cardassians want him dead anyway. But Cisco counters that if the Cardassians want him dead, that's probably a good reason to try to get him back alive. Which, I mean, totally, like...
Yeah.
That's how you, like, recruit defectors.
He doesn't seem that upset later on when he finds out about it. I mean, he's not happy, but not like defector angry.
Yeah, I mean, well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Man, there's just a great scene in the old Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. I'm just mentioning it because I want to put a link to it in the notes. But it's, so there's an old Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy miniseries, British miniseries, starring Alec Guinness as Smiley. And it has Patrick Stewart in it for one scene. But Patrick Stewart doesn't have any lines. And it's awesome. Because basically the scene is, it's like a flashback to when like Patrick Stewart plays a Russian guy. And he's getting shipped back to Russia, presumably to be executed. And so Smiley goes and like intercepts him and tries to convince him to defect. And so Smiley makes this like pitch. And then Patrick Stewart just sits there. And then like doesn't say anything and just looks at him and like does all his acting with his face. And then once over, he just stands up and leaves and goes back to Russia. Anyway. So like that's, it's talking about how like, because he plays Carla. And that's how Smiley knows that Carla is like a true believer. Because he thought he was going back to Russia to be executed.
I'll have to watch this scene when you put the link in.
Yes. If I remember to do it, I will. Because I said it on the thing and I have to edit this. So if I don't remember to do that, that will be extremely bad. So meanwhile, in a generic Star Trek cave, which seriously, do they have one of these cave sets?
Probably.
Or do they build a new one every time?
No, I doubt it.
Like you doubt which one?
That they build a new one every time. I feel like there must be like the cave set.
They just shoot it from different angles and stuff.
Yeah. Maybe they rearrange the rocks or whatever.
Sure. Yeah, they might have like several cave walls that they like kind of move around to make it look different, and then maybe put a spray paint of color to make it. Yeah, but I mean, come on! I was like, this is a Star Trek cave. So yes, in this cave, Vulcan lady is attempting a non-consensual mind meld with Dukat. This does not work, and Dukat taunts them that they suck and should just torture them. Then Cisco, Odo, and Bashir show up to rescue Dukat. Bashir, the least combat-effective person in Starfleet, is standing in front of Odo for some reason.
Well, Odo doesn't use a gun.
That's true, and that's like, yeah, you don't want Bashir in the back,
which,
like
the
with a gun.
more I think about it, the worse this particular party was, because Odo won't use a gun, and Bashir. I think he shoots pretty well in this. Like they take out these guys pretty quick. But
yeah,
still,
he does shoot and hit one person, which is amazing. Yeah, but I mean, Odo makes sense to bring. Bashir makes sense to bring because he's a doctor. I mean, as usual, in real life you'd expect him to bring like actual like security personnel or whatever. But
yeah,
it's like who wants to pay those guys?
Bashir on the shuttle or on the runabout, right? And then you'd go down with the security party, take everybody out, and then call Bashir down to treat wounded.
Right. So it's a little bit of Star Trek shortcut, but
you don't want to have to pay these extras.
Yeah. So Cisco's like, okay, give us Dukat. No, you guys just go away and let us keep him, say the Maquis. Nuh-uh, says Cisco.
Oh, after the great interrogation scene where he's just like, you guys suck at this interrogating thing. Like, you had a Vulcan interrogating me. Like, whose idea was this?
Yeah. He almost got that one guy to come down and torture him. But he was like, I want to be tortured. Bring it on. So I want to see how lame you are at torturing. But yeah, so they have this like, no you fight. And then Ducat's like, wow, this is stupid. And then he takes matters into his own hands and just beats up the person guarding him. Then a firefight breaks out. The last Maquis standing tries to get away, but Odo uses goo tentacle on him and gets him back. But Cisco just lets him go to tell Kyle Hudson that he hasn't snitched on him yet, and he can still come back and get his uniform back if he wants. Back at Deep Space Nine, Ducat enjoys a nice Cardassian meal. And lectures Cisco on the
yamic sauce in there.
Is that what that was? I thought that was like Kanar or something.
I feel like it was the same bottle that we've seen yamic sauce, but I could be wrong.
I mean, he poured it into a mug. Do they drink yamic sauce out of a mug?
Yeah, you're probably right. I just watched the pouring. I guess I wasn't paying that much attention.
Because I was just looking at that. I was like, is he going to drink that? And then sure enough, in one continuous take, because it looks like molasses or something.
Yeah, I think Kanar has always looked like that. Like it moves very slowly when we've seen it. So yeah, that makes sense.
So he pours it. I was like, wow, is he really going to drink that? And then he lifts that cup right to his lips. I was like, all right, good job. Although I doubt the actor really drank it. But.
No, he's dedicated to his craft. I assume.
He's like, I want real Cardassian Kanar, but sir, bring it. Oh
yeah. Now I'm looking up Kanar, and the bottles are always like the spirally bottles and such. So
okay,
and it even mentions in here that the consistency is somewhat thick compared to most human drinks.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's good. I kind of wonder what that liquid is, though, that's in the Kanar bottle. Does it say?
Although not stated directly, it's implied there are several types of Kanar, because apparently
sure.
it appears in several different colors throughout the series. In the Maquis Part 2, it was seen as a thick black drink in the characteristic bottle. In The Wire, it's a blue opaque drink.
Okay.
The thinner liquid in Behind the Lines was of an older, more expensive vintage. Okay. Oh, okay. Caro syrup was used for the brown Kanar to create the effect of a dark, thick liquid.
Okay.
Which Damar actor Casey Briggs actually drank.
Who actor?
Yeah. I mean, so what is corn syrup?
Yeah. It's okay. It's like corn syrup.
I'd never seen Karo syrup before, so that was.
Oh yeah. It seems like we used to always like have a bottle of that around when I was growing up.
In Star Trek the Magazine, Volume 1, Issue 4, Property Master Joe Longo says about that actor, he was drinking so much he was getting wired, so he started using a thickened sugar-free pancake syrup.
Nice. So yes, Ducat, let's see, he lectures Cisco on the great Cardassian justice system where all trials are show trials and everybody is found guilty. By the way, where are the other Cardassians? They must be hopping mad that I got kidnapped. Nah, says Cisco, they're blaming you for the weapons shipments and they're going to have you executed. So enjoy your show trial, I guess. Yep. Ducat is not pleased. He seems especially upset that the Central Command did not include him in their weapons smuggling scheme.
Yeah, that's really the thing here, is he's like, wait. I was left out of the weapons smuggling scheme? Like, he's not at all surprised that he got kidnapped, so they decided to use him as the scapegoat. He's like, this all makes perfect sense. But wait, I wasn't involved in the conspiracy? I am deeply hurt by this.
It's like, who's better at a good weapons smuggling scheme than I am? I mean, like, remember the time we used those botanical DNA traders to get those weapons to Bajor? That was brilliant. Okay, so Ducat makes a deal with Cisco to help stop the smuggling in exchange for Cisco stopping the Maquis. Yeah, I was just planning to let the Maquis do whatever they want, but when you put it like that, sure, says Cisco. Cisco, Ducat, and the whole Deep Space Nine crew have a big planning meeting, which we still don't have a conference room set, do we?
No, yeah, I guess they just stand around in ops and make plans around the big table.
Which is, it's fine. It makes it look like more dynamic and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it must be hard on the people all around actually doing their work, but...
True.
What can you do? And apparently anyone's just allowed to wander into ops, so it's also not the most secure.
Yeah. It's like Admiral Dushev would probably not be pleased hearing about that. So yeah, Odo reports that he's having trouble interrogating the Vulcan lady and finding out where the Maquis weapons are going.
It's actually a line that I really enjoyed, where he's like, "Have you ever tried interrogating a Vulcan?" And Dax is like, "No," and he's like, "Well, neither had I until today, and it sucks."
Yeah, she just sits there, staring at you.
And then Quark is the one who successfully outlogics her, which is just...
Yeah.
I mean, at least Quark comes up with the right approach for a Vulcan to be like, okay,
right.
Let's discuss the logical aspects of the scenario and see if I can like change your mind through reasoned discourse.
Right. But yeah, before that happens, Dukat suggests checking the Zeppelites for the Cardassian weapons, who he knows to have smuggled for the Cardassians before, and they don't suck at it, unlike the Lesepians.
Yeah, burn Lesepians.
And he doesn't even mention the Crisari. Those people are just dead to him, I guess.
I was about to say, we had the Crisari,
and
then Sisko in the previous episode mentions the Iridians.
Yeah, who are not mentioned here.
No, and then we have to bring in the Lesepians to insult them. The Cardassian just has everybody smuggling weapons for them. Apparently, he's like, maybe they are using the Federation this time. We've used the... Oh, wait, sorry.
Yeah. It's like there's good money to be made in smuggling weapons for the Cardassians.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's a big market. Cut to the whole gang in a runabout confronting a Zeppelite ship. We don't see, which I kind of like. We don't even see. It's like, oh, I have detected a Zeppelite ship entering this sector or whatever. Then we just cut to it, and there's a Zeppelite ship there, and they're all on a runabout, like confronting them.
Yep.
They're not answering hails, so Dukat suggests just blowing up their bridge and killing all of them. He notes that Zeppelite ships are super fast and could easily warp away and never be caught.
Which they don't do.
Yeah, luckily the ship does not do that for some reason. So they shoot a phaser over the ship's bow, which causes the Zeppelites to warp away and pick up the phone.
Outraged.
What the heck? I should warp away with my super fast weapon, with my super fast engines for this. But I'm gonna call you because I'm so mad.
Mm-hmm.
I like this alien has some kind of like finger prosthetics or something, he just seems to really enjoy finger acting. This is a finger actor. But yeah, Sisko asks if they have weapons, and he's like, no. Can I see? Says Sisko. No, says the captain.
We have several kilotons of wheat husks.
Yeah, who measures wheat husks in kilotons? Like, geez, that's an insane amount of wheat husks.
It is. That's a lot of wheat husks.
Is the husk a useful part of the wheat? Even
I feel like it shouldn't be, but hold on. Let's see what I can find. Wheat husk. Okay, hold on. No, I don't want. It's the answer to several crossword puzzles apparently, and that is the first thing that comes up when I Google wheat husk.
Nice.
I can buy some wheat husks off of Etsy. None of this is useful to tell me what wheat husks are used for. Okay, what is a wheat husk?
Well, it sounds like arts and crafts if they're on Etsy.
Wheat husk is a lingocellulosic waste product, which is about 15 to 20% of wheat. Sometimes they are used as cattle food or fuel.
Okay. So, yeah, maybe they're taking it to some planet that wants to use them for fuel or something. I mean, it doesn't matter. He doesn't really have wheat husks.
He could also have wheat husks. It's like, in my mind, like the weapons crates were buried under all of the wheat husks.
Okay, could be. He's like, no, don't touch the wheat husks. So then Dukat gets up and starts yelling at the captain and threatening to blow him up. So the freighter captain is like, okay, see ya, and warps away with the super fast engines. No, wait. Dukat just starts counting backwards, which is apparently unbearable torture for Zeppelites.
Yeah, he really hates... Stop counting!
No! The counting! No! Stop it!
It hurts us.
So maybe Dukat knows this about Zeppelites.
Hey, he's in the know.
It tortures them and makes them forget that their weapons or that their engines are super fast. So yeah, the captain agrees to turn over their weapons and confess to everything. Back in Odo's jail, we have the scene where Vulcan Lady has been locked up with Quark. Quark uses Ferengi economic theory to talk Vulcan Lady into giving up the Maquis' plans.
Yep. He also brings in another new rule of acquisition, a very early one. I think it's number 3.
Yep, which is don't basically don't overpay for stuff.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's a very reasonable rule of acquisition.
I would put that pretty close to the front, too.
Yeah.
So apparently the Maquis are going to attack a hidden Cardassian weapons depot hidden in some civilian area, but the Vulcan lady doesn't know where it is. Dukat says he can find out, and he just goes off to do that. Sisko goes off to talk to the Maquis again and make it super duper clear that what they're doing is illegal, and he's going to do what it takes to stop them, and they especially should not attack that weapons depot, because that would start a war. Shockingly, they are not swayed. Sisko tries giving Cal his uniform back, but Cal just vaporizes it with his phaser, along with the bag that Sisko brought it in.
Yep. He didn't want that bag back or anything. It's fine.
Yeah. You can just replicate another one.
Yeah.
Or would have been great if it was a little grocery bag.
I do love Sisko makes his big speech, but you'll be enemies of the Federation too because we have a treaty with Cardassia, so you don't want to start this. And then guys who I guess were just waiting outside of the meeting at every doorway.
It's all the doors open.
Yeah.
And there's guys with guns surrounding them.
And yeah, all these guys with guns walk in, and Cal's like, well, I should probably just kill you as a response to that great speech, but I'm not going to do that for reasons.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's cool until you start thinking about wait, what was the lead up to that happening? They saw Sisko go into that building, and they're like, oh, come on, let's silently surround the building, and then we'll open all the doors at once, and we'll have all our guns.
In my mind, it was because it's just a normal meeting of this committee or whatever it seemed like until Sisko strolls in.
They were talking about curfews and putting guards on the replicators, and
I was like, did one of them have a silent alarm button in a bank under the conference table?
It's so push the button. It's the come here Maquis button. So yeah, Dukat finds the location of the planned attack, so Sisko calls in the full force of Starfleet to stop it. I mean, he doesn't do that. He just goes out there with his three runabouts. What's that?
I just said, yep.
Oh, okay. I thought you said, well, you had a explanation for that.
No.
I seriously tried watching through that scene again to see if there was a quick line they dropped to explain why they were doing this, but there never was.
I feel like Admiral Nechayev must have shown up on a decent sized ship. Maybe you should have called her and be like, hey, can you come back and help us out?
I mean, yeah, it must be that nobody else was close enough to stop the attack in time or something like that. But so yeah, they go out, they fight the Maquis. It's a big battle. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. The end result is they stop them from their attack, but they do not kill the Maquis, which makes Dukat mad. And then Cal flies off. He's like, we were good friends. I can't believe we're enemies now, or something like that.
You haven't seen the last of me.
Right. So I can't kill them. We have to bring them back.
And then Dukat is very angry about the whole thing. But there's actually, in relation to that, so Ira Stephen Bear says that when they were originally writing this, they were like, we thought the Maquis was going to be the Cal Hudson show. We got this great actor, Bernie Casey. It was going to be a big focus on him. But while they were writing it, they were like, I guess Hudson should be less center stage. And he says, so we killed Cal Hudson at the end, said Bear. But then Michael Piller comes back and he goes, no, not this time. We need this character. We're not going to ruin another guest star. You killed Lee Nollis in The Siege, and you're not going to kill Cal Hudson. And so Ira Stephen Bear's like, I mean, okay. And then he says, later on, after it's all filmed and they're looking through the dailies, Michael looks at him and goes, we should have killed Cal Hudson.
I mean, yeah. I mean, killing Lee Nollis was especially bad because it completely undermined his whole character arc. But yeah, for real, I can seriously do without Cal Hudson. This guy gets on my nerves. But at the end, Sisko is congratulated by Starfleet for preventing a war, but he fears he may have just delayed the inevitable. Gul Dukat goes home to get executed or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he'll be a hero for stopping the thing, but also he's the one who showed up and sabotaged the weapons deal that I guess the the Central Command was secretly behind, so they might not be happy about that. I don't know. He maybe he can parlay that into, well, if I'd known about the secret weapon shipments, then I wouldn't have accidentally ruined it.
I mean, he must have faith that he can use his 5D chess gold ducat skills to get out of this, get back into the top of the Central Command or something. And I believe him.
It's probably a lot easier to scapegoat Gul Dukat when he's not there.
Right.
So if Legate Parn had his way and the Maquis just kept him and killed him, then it's whatever. But once he's there, he probably has all sorts of dirt that he can use, and you said, he's got all these moves he can make.
Yeah, he's probably got a big safe full of blackmail on all the various members of the Central Command. So, and I think he drops a line that he still has powerful friends. That's how he finds out where the weapons depot is.
Yeah, his friends probably cared less when they thought he's almost certainly dead. So we're not going to worry about that.
Quark's trial for his role in funneling weapons to terrorists is not seen, but he seems to escape any serious consequences as usual. The end.
Yeah, I don't know how the laws of Bajor work, where he all he does is make a connection with professional arms dealers outside the system for a price, for a commission or a finder's fee or whatever. So I don't know how illegal that is under Bajoran law, but it's enough that Odo does not let him out of jail immediately, and even when he promises to rat on anybody who needs ratting on, and Cisco's like, leave him in jail forever.
Yeah.
And Quark's like, wait, what?
Honestly, yeah, that must be the only way he could have gotten out, is he just ratted on all his weapons dealing contacts, which is something he's had a history of doing. So,
oh yeah,
as we saw in that episode where that guy tried to kill him.
That's true. Yeah, I'd kind of forgotten that. Yeah, Quark will absolutely rat on anyone who it'll help him to rat on.
Yep. And if you didn't see that coming, then honestly, that's on you.
You shouldn't have cut a deal with a Ferengi. Let's just put it. I mean, maybe that's racist, but
especially Quark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do not care at all for Cal Hudson. Especially when he repeatedly says, the Federation abandoned us out there. And that goes to one of my big points about this episode, which is it might play a lot better if I hadn't seen Journey's End and seen exactly how this thing went down.
Yep.
If we were only hearing it from their point of view, I might have more sympathy for them. But it's after seeing Captain Picard bend over backwards trying to come to a good end for these guys, he's okay, look, you can live in the demilitarized zone, but we cannot help you. It's you are on your own. They're yeah, we're totally cool with that. And then here 3 weeks later, they're what? No! Where's the Federation when we need them? I find the Maquis very irritating in this episode.
That it is the source of some nice continuity, though, that Admiral Nechayev is also the one in Journey's End who shows up to be you need to get these people out of there. And also, she's in charge of this area.
Right. And we saw Gul Evek last episode, and he was also in Journey's End. So they made a cute little crossover type thing. So that was neat.
Yeah, it is funny that Cal Hudson's the Federation abandoned these people, and it's well, I mean, as we've established, they are the ones who made that decision themselves. But also, in a move that they did not that the Federation did not have to make, they subsequently sent you to come and help, help them get used to life under the Cardassians or whatever.
Right.
So,
yeah, it's your presence there is proof that they are literally doing everything they can to try to help these people, short of starting a war with the Cardassians.
Yeah, it's whatever. There's if this wasn't spoiler the last time that we saw this guy, then maybe there would be maybe they could have improved or whatever. I mean, I feel like it makes sense the way that Michael Piller, he's we're gonna keep this guy because he puts a very personal face on Cisco's opposition to the Maquis, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I guess we just don't do that after this episode.
Right.
For what I mean, maybe the actor wasn't available. Maybe
Sure.
they just decided to go a different way. I don't know, but
Yeah. I think it might have been good to have him back, but it's just like, he phasers the uniform and he's like, ha 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 ha. I'm a terrorist now.
they have to find another way to like try to make it personal for Sisko later. So
Mm.
there's one fun note in the wiki that there's a deleted scene from this episode, or a cut line at least, where they talk about how Curzon Dax once persuaded Hudson and Sisko to play a game of Domjot against some Zakdorn on Pelio Station. The Zakdorn won each game, played over 7 hours, and then at the end, Curzon reveals that he had bet on the Zakdorn to win.
Wow, that crafty Curzon. I mean, we already got so much like flashback reminiscing from especially last episode.
Yeah.
That was one thing I liked about this episode, is like every scene was in there for a purpose.
Yeah, it's much tighter than the previous episode that you complained a lot about the like filler.
Even if the some of the scenes were better executed than others. Oh, I like the part when it's like he's got like 5 gazillion photon torpedoes or whatever, and Kira's like, well, if the Bajorans had that much weapons, we could have attacked Cardassia. And Golderkot's just like, and lost.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, we had way more weapons than that, so you would have attacked Cardassia, but it wouldn't have worked out well.
It's like, yeah, good luck with that. Also, this ship had sensor reflective material.
Yeah, you'd think that would come up more often,
Yeah,
right?
that sounds like really handy. Like you'd think, yeah, it's like every smuggler would have that.
It's like, oh no, another ship with that sensor reflecting hull. Dang it. What will we do?
Yeah. Although it would probably become like illegal. So I have a constitutional right to use sensor reflective material to prevent you from conducting illegal searches and seizures on my ship. This is a Fourth Amendment issue, and I'm going to take it to the Supreme Court of the Federation.
Yeah, right. Fourth Federation Amendment.
Right. I assume they have the exact same constitution.
Yeah, sure, why not?
But they just crossed out America and put Federation. It's like he did like a find and replace.
Genius.
It's like, okay, we need to write a new Federation Constitution. It's like, oh wait, I know how we're going to do this.
Everyone's like, I don't want to write it. It'll take forever.
Yep. So you got any other notes, points, interesting facts?
Uh,
I won't ask for novels because I know there's got to be like 20 novels about the Maquis.
well, Cal Hudson apparently pops up in a couple of okay, let's see. He's in the Lives of Dax short story, which is set in a bit set on Pelio Station, which makes sense.
Sure.
He appears in The Brave and the Bold Book 2 and a comic called Public Enemy's Private Lives.
So is it ever revealed what happened to him?
It is revealed in a later episode of this series what happened to him.
Oh, okay. Is it like it's like when a character is just written off and they're like, oh, he had to go away.
He left. It was a family emergency or something. I don't know.
That fun thing when they can't get an actor back, but they don't want to like make it permanent by like killing them. They're just like, oh, he's on vacation.
Big, long, important vacation.
Yeah, ready to jump into ratings?
Yeah, sure.
All right. How would you rate the Maquis Part 2?
Now that we've got both pieces of the duology,
Right.
I'm still kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fine. I think that what I will do is I'm going to give it the same rating as the previous part and put it just above that previous part because it does have tighter pacing. It's got some fun Ducat bits, and I think it's a little better than that one, but not by much.
And you gave the previous one
Lieutenant Commander.
Yeah. Just for the people who might not have listened to the...
Sure.
That's always the fun of like watching TV in the 90s is I feel like it's almost inevitable that you always see part 2 before you see part 1.
Maybe.
Like when you're watching especially when you're watching on like reruns and stuff.
Yeah. Well, if you're watching not rerun and that happens, then you did something wrong.
Or yeah. Or you'll see like one of the parts 20 times before you see the other part. Like you'll see part 1 like rerun over and over and over again before you finally catch part 2, or vice versa.
Yeah.
I agree almost exactly with your assessment. I actually went a little bit back and forth because my first time watching the other day, whenever I watched it, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna like lump this exactly together with part 1. Then I was like rewatching it today, or rewatching some scenes earlier today. There's so many scenes I love in this episode, like the Quark using Ferengi economics to also appeal to Vulcan ladies' logic.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really awesome Quark scene. What else did I like? Of course. Oh, Ducat's the whole scene between Ducat and Sisko, where when Ducat finds out that, well, he's talking about Cardassian justice, then finds out that they abandon him, and I don't know, I just thought that whole scene was really well acted by both of those guys.
Yeah.
Especially. I did like Sisko's Saints in Paradise speech, even if it's a little bit like self-insert and on the nose.
Yeah.
Or it's easy to be Saints in Paradise is a pretty cool line, so. But in the end, I just decided it's like all this great stuff comes together to make something that's like lesser than a lesser whole. And like, especially like for some reason, the conclusion I just felt was a little boring. Like, when they go confront the Maquis, and then it's like, I felt like all the emotional beats had already been played out by that point, especially between like Sisko and Cal.
Yeah.
Like when Cal shoots his uniform, like that, I felt like that should have just been like the end of the episode or whatever. Like we didn't really need this like big confrontation in space, except, I get it. You want to make it exciting and stuff, but
I'll get you next time, Gadget.
Yeah. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, wait, that's Inspector Gadget, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Would have gotten away with it, too, if it wasn't for those meddling Bajorans. So yeah, I kind of came full circle all the way back to putting it exactly where you're going to put it, right above the Maquis Part 1 with a Lieutenant Commander rank.
Nice.
Will my keyboard work today?
No.
Or will I remember where the buttons are?
Also no.
The Maquis Part 2. Man. I tell you, like, I showed up to work today and there was this weird white film all over my keyboard.
Oh.
I was like, what the heck? It was like someone had put like milk or something in a spray bottle and like sprayed down my keyboard with it or something. And then just, I look at my keyboard, which has been used by like probably like 20 people before me. It's got so much crap in there. So gross. I was like, can I put into IT to get a new keyboard just on the grounds that it's really gross?
Just like break one of the buttons off and then you have grounds.
Just do like Homer Simpson and like pour Coke on it.
Yep.
It's like, oh, for the love of God. I imagine myself being on a call with IT. They're like, I show that your keyboard's functioning fine. Oh no, for the love of God.
You're operating without a keyboard. I've been rewatching Elementary lately, and there's one bit where this laptop is like bothering one of the characters because it's got this thing on it that he hasn't read, but he's upset about, and is he gonna read it? I don't know. And he's telling this woman just opens a drink, just super obviously in the middle of the scene, and starts drinking. And I'm like, that's a lot of attention being drawn to this drink. And then he's like, I'm totally not gonna read it. And she's like, oh really? Okay, well then I guess you just, and starts doing the Homer move on the keyboard. And I was like, man, this is really reminiscent of something I've seen before.
Yep. I mean, The Simpsons, I was watching there's always Simpsons clips popping up on YouTube. I shouldn't be always clicking on them, but I do. And it was the one where they like try to get the lemon tree out of the wrecking yard or whatever. Yeah. And the guy's like, now if you excuse me, I'm hungry, and he like takes a lemon and just takes a bite out of the lemon, and he like makes this incredibly sour face. Man, nothing will ever match The Simpsons, the classic Simpsons. Anyway, did we have any other Deep Space Nine business to talk about?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'll just leave all that stuff in for because the episode hasn't gone on that long. Just give the listeners. I don't know if they like listening to us talk about random stuff or not, but
if you are one of those magical unicorns who did not listen to the previous episode and then listen to this one, you should check out the previous episode.
Oh, yeah.
And also check out Picard. Our coverage of Picard, not the Picard show itself, although you can check that out also. I'm not trying to stop you, but I meant the Inner Four Lights, which is the show that we came up with to cover this new season of Picard.
It is not called Undeclared Picard or whatever some people out there are trying to push. It is called the Inner Four Lights.
I mean, maybe we should have come up with Undeclared Picard ourselves, but it's too late now.
Yeah. It was so obvious. It's like a tree that's right in front of you. Yeah, good job. I forgot to plug Picard in my notes this time. That is available, like this one, on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. So check that out. Check out all other episodes. I don't like to say like, comment, and subscribe and all that stuff, but it's like your fellow man, comment when you see injustice, subscribe to a positive worldview. That's all I'll say. And give us 5 stars of happiness. But anyway, yeah, if you've made it this far, that would be interesting. Leave a comment if you like rambly tangents or not. You still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Be sure to check out the description where I occasionally put links to interesting things, like that scene that I talked about.
And now some Simpsons clips.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm totally putting that lemon clip in there. I'm Fletcher, about to say goodbye as Data.
See ya.
And remember, every once in a while, declare peace. It confuses the hell out of your enemies.